So here's a little bit of backstory about this elevator kiss theory that some of you who are in BCA, like you already heard me talk about this. And if you are in Austin, you also know about my elevator kiss theory because I kind of brought it to light. But the thing is that the elevator kiss is basically just what it sounds like. It's the kiss in the elevator. It's that moment when the guy just goes for it. It's like 50 shades of gray. But basically, they're in the elevator and there's just that tension, that like desire. Earlier in the hotel room, she had waited for him to kiss her. And he said he wasn't going to kiss her, not until there was paperwork. I mean, first of all, if you have never seen 50 Shades or you don't know the story, it's like really freaking messed up. He's got like this whole contract thing. He has to have a non-disclosure agreement, and there's like some control issues. Like it's really not a healthy situation. But of course, women just lapped it up because what we really, really want, and we're not getting, is that desire to surrender. Because feminism has now become so wounded, there's the wounded feminine aspect where we just thought, well, we have to basically use sex to control men, and like we have that power dynamic, but we're doing it, I'm not going to say the wrong way, but it's a very wounded way. And there's a better way of doing this with the divine feminine interacting with the divine masculine. I will be going into that a little deeper in this topic because it's just so fascinating to me. It's like I've been on this journey for the last several years now, where I used to be very deep in my wounded feminine, where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be detached and I'm just going to go for it with guys. I'm going to go after the guys and I'm going to get mine. And like if their feelings get hurt, who cares? Because they're guys. Guys don't have feelings. Like that was my old way of thinking. It led me down a very, very dark path. I do not recommend it. That's why I would really like to bring this lesson forward, because it takes over all aspects of our life. With a lot of things I've noticed, it's a metaphor for life. When you really interact with the divine masculine, the divine feminine, when you surrender in birth, what you're really doing is you're coming back to nature and you're coming back to the way that things were intended to be. Not the way that we were controlled and programmed to think that's just the way things are and women are subservient to men, but really actually tap into it, because there was supposed to be like this dynamic between the masculine and the feminine, and it's so wounded. Anyway, the reason 50 Shades got so popular is because deep down, every single one of us as women, we don't want to have to be in control 24/7. And we have been taught that we have to be in control 24/7. And it's exhausting, and it's not allowing our men to step up into their power. So then they become helpless. And then there's that whole dynamic of women have to serve men. It's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be the other way around, where men are actually supposed to be wanting to step into the hero role. And that's where their desire comes from. And that's where that moment with the elevator kiss comes up. So back to the story is that Anna is sitting there and she's just waiting for Christian to just kiss her. And he's like, I'm not going to kiss you until we sign this contract and we have the paperwork. But she's standing there in the elevator and she's just got that look and he cannot wait. And he's just like, oh, fuck the paperwork. And he goes to her and he kisses her and he's got her up like pressed against the wall. And like, women, we eat that shit up. Okay. Let's not even pretend. Okay. Come on. You know it deep down that that's what we really want. I mean, that's the scenes in like 90% of our chick movies, is that there is that scene against the wall. It's always like against the wall and the guy is always going for it. And yeah, there's the issue of consent and everything, but when you know, it's like she's just waiting for that. Like it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go for it because I want her. I can tell she's waiting for me to make the first move. So I'm just going to go for it because I can't take it anymore. That's the elevator kiss. And sometimes it is the girl, but usually it's the girl is open to it. and then the guy just goes for it. I mean, that's like 90% of my romance novels too. And it's back to that elevator kiss. But how does this apply to life? Well, it's very simple. When you have that moment, that opportunity, and it's just ripe for the picking, but you're really scared because you don't know where that's going to lead. And you know that if you go for this full force, like, it's going to be scary. There's no going back. There's absolutely no going back after that moment. After that elevator kiss moment, like, you can't go back. You can't go back and be like, oh yeah, we don't actually have that passion and chemistry. No, you know, because you had the elevator kiss. You now know. You can deny it all you want. You can try to run from it. You can try to pretend, oh, it was a mistake, but you know. And that's why some of these TV series that I love, like Vampire Diaries, is just so good. Because once that kiss happens, it can't unhappen. And that's the moment, you know, Damon and Elena are going to get together, and they can deny it all they want. But Damon kissed Elena on her porch, and she is just like prime for it. And she's like, you can't kiss me again. It's not right. And he's like, oh, it is right, but it's not right now. And then a couple episodes later, she goes to the hotel, and like, she just cannot take that tension anymore. And then he comes out of the room and she's like, don't. And then she's like, screw it. And she goes and kisses him, and it's hot. It's hot. But that's it though. It's like, there's no going back after the elevator kiss moment. Once you go all in on something, there is no going back. And that applies to life. It applies to how I finally got out of the toxic situation I was in. There was that kind of upsetting elevator kiss moment for me, which was realizing that it does not matter how much I want this to work. It does not matter how much I try to rationalize. It does not matter how much I say that he's going to change. It does not matter how much I try to work on myself. I have worked on myself, and I am rising, but he's not stepping up into what I want him to be, because he's not supposed to be that. He's done his job as the container for what I needed in my younger days. But I needed a bigger container for my feminine energy. I needed a different masculine man. I needed somebody who was in his divine masculine, who could be as big as I am. So like, I've got like serious goal. Like, I can't just go date anyone. It's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I know I've got like the most divine, masculine, powerful man I could possibly imagine. And at the same time, that's like in the top 1% of guys. So I've got a really high caliber friends list now. So they've got the guy I have has to be like at that level. So it's like, you can't just do anything. Once you have that moment, you can't go back. It's like empowered birth. Once you have that birth where you are in complete control, you're never going to go back into the system again. Once you decide that the life that you are living is not for you, like, it's not working anymore, you can't go back. You can't go la 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 la. No, it's fine. You can try. You can really try. You can have your house burned down. You can have like things messing up, and you can try really, really hard to hold on to that old life. But the elevator kiss moment happened. You saw the truth. You saw what your life can be, and you can't go back. So the only way in is forward. And the only way you're going to know if it's right is if you take that leap. And hey, maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe it's like you have that moment. And like Cordelia and Wesley from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they finally gave in to their passion. And it was so freaking awkward on the screen. And they're like, oh, okay, so we can go back to just being friends. And they were friends on several seasons of Angel. They never hooked up again. But like, you don't know until you go for it. And if you don't ever go for it, you're always going to have that what if feeling of what if I did this? What if, like, you have that regret? It's like the same thing again with birth. So those moms who are like, I really, really wanted a home birth, but I was told I wasn't allowed. But what if I could have had that? And then if they go on to have more kids, they have that burning desire, but it's laced under fear and trauma. And this is what I actually help moms with. It's not just about childbirth education, it's also helping them to release those fears so that they can have that moment. They can have that moment of taking their power back even before they actually give birth. Because once they see it, once they see that moment where they gave up their power, and they're like, you know what? I could have had this. I'm going for it. Then they go for it. And then they do amazing things. And then after that, like, oh my gosh, what my clients are doing now is just, it's just another level. I can't get over this whole thing of what I've been able to help people transform with. It's just really incredible. But they never would have had that if they didn't go for it. And it's the same thing with a romantic partner. If there's someone you really, really love and find attractive and you're standing for their highest self, there's always going to be that wondering. And it's like, what if I just confessed? What if I just went for it? And I mean, I'll never know if I don't do it. So I've decided now that I'm just going to live my life in a way that, like, I'm just going to say what I mean with my friends. And I'm going to tell people that I love them and I support them. And I don't even expect anything in return. Because for me, it's just getting that feeling out there. Because if I never say it, I'll always have that regret of, well, what if I had said that? I mean, maybe it wouldn't have changed anything, but at least I would have been able to stand in my truth. And so those are my elevator kiss moments. It's like whenever I go for something new, with my business especially, it's like, what if I just try this thing? I'm living my life with no regrets because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. For all I know, a plane could fly out of the sky, hit my house, and I could burn up in ashes. Or like maybe I just don't wake up. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. So live for today with no regrets and go and do that elevator kiss. Because once that pain, that feeling of either I'm going to go crazy, not knowing, and I'm going to just be like dealing with this tension forever, or I'm just going to go for it and I'm just going to do it. And maybe it doesn't work out, but at least I know. At least now I actually know. I'm not wondering anymore. I'm not trying to play different scenarios in my head of how it could have gone. No, I actually know now because I went with my full integrity. I went all in and hey, it didn't work out, but now I can move forward. Or hey, maybe it did work out and it's like, whoa, I've been holding back for so long. And why did I do that? Like with my business, finally going for it and being like, you know what? I'm just going to coach moms. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to run my workshops. I'm just going to see how it works. And then to see the results from that, to see how people responded to that, it was just incredible. And I never would have done that if I hadn't had that burning desire to the point where it's like, you know what? I just got to know. I got to know if I can do this because everybody around me is telling me that this is important, but I don't believe in myself yet. So I'm just going to go for it. Same thing with me talking on stage. I just went for it. I didn't know if it was going to work out. I didn't know if I was going to fall on my face. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to speak. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, like this is the first time I've ever been on stage. Like, how am I going to do this? But I did it. And it was fine. And it was actually better than fine. Like afterwards, Annie's like, that was a 10. And I'm like, that's awesome. And I never knew what was going to happen when I first jumped into my first challenge and jumping backstage and jumping into virtual coach. Like I didn't know. I didn't even know with virtual coach accelerator. When I was given that one and told to come in, I'm like, I'm probably going to be behind everybody and I'm going to fall flat on my face. But no, I'm thriving in there. And like the friends that I have now, it's just amazing. And you create your dream life by who you surround yourself with. And I also shared a quote about that earlier today. And you know what? The other thing is that when I started to learn more about birth and everything, when I was doing my improving birth stuff, I started to see the connections and the patterns. But now that I'm single, which was another elevator kits moment, recognizing that I just had to get out. I couldn't stall anymore. I couldn't wait anymore. It was just so awful that it's like, if I don't do this, I'm holding back on my future soulmate. Because I also knew from Annie, she says that everyone you meet is either the one or practice for the one. So I'm like, oh, okay, so this has run its course. This was practice. It was a hell of a lot of practice. But the longer I stay, the longer it's going to take for me to actually heal from this and to reflect on this. And then I'm just doing a disservice to my future true love. Like, he's out there waiting for me to get myself free. And if I don't ever set myself free, he doesn't get me as his true love. And I stand for true love now. Like, Annie talks about it all the time. She did it today on the live stream on Instagram, and it was amazing what she was talking about. It's like, yes, this is what we need, because we need the divine masculine interacting with the divine feminine. You don't actually have to be male, female to have the divine masculine feminine. It's in both of us. But the thing is that when you have that, when you have true love, that's where you grow the most. And like, settling for less and staying stuck doesn't work. It doesn't work. It keeps you small. So now I'm like, you know what? I can't stay here. I'm not going to be able to get as big as I need to be. I'm going to be better off single. So I set myself free. I was like, I can't go back. I already know. I've seen something amazing here, and it's sitting there right in front of me of what I can possibly have in my life. And if I stay where I am, I'm never going to get it. So I went for it. And it's been amazing. Being single has actually been a lot of fun, because I get to be myself, and I got to start standing for myself, dressing for myself again, enjoying my time, just being, healing and learning and taking relationship courses and learning about the divine feminine and the divine masculine, recognizing that, yes, I always wanted to surrender, but at the same time, I never felt safe enough to. I didn't have a container that was safe enough to. I didn't have a masculine man in my life who could be that safe space for me. And I could be a safe haven for him. But if he can't be a safe space for me, I can't step into myself. I can't step into my power to support him. And you're supposed to fall in love with the most extraordinary man you've ever met. So, I mean, I don't like to talk bad about my ex, but he is definitely not the most extraordinary man I've ever met. Doesn't even come close. I mean, he's decent. He was hardworking, but he wasn't the kind of guy that I would be like, oh my God, like, out of all the guys, like, this is the one I want. No, honestly, that was Ian Somerhalder. If Ian Somerhalder came up to me and said, hey, baby, you want to go away? I would have been like, hi, Tyler. It's a joke, but still, like, he was so close to what I want. I mean, there's still some things it's like, no, he's not even the most extraordinary man I've ever met, but he is really good looking, and he does have a lot of the qualities that my extraordinary man would have. So with Tyler, he hates feminism. He hates the divine feminine. He doesn't understand it. So for him, personal growth and development was never really on his radar, and it has always been on mine. So the one that stands for me has to have that aspect of the personal development, and he needs to be in touch with his shadows and be able to work through his shadows, not hide them. And that was just it. It's like, I need someone that I can feel safe enough to surrender to, like completely surrender to. That elevator kiss moment where he just goes for it and I can just let go. Because that is also how women have our desire. We need to feel safe. The second we don't feel safe, our desire drops. This is why birth trauma is such a detriment to a relationship. And I tell people this all the time. I'm like, you know what? Like, guys, if you don't stand for what your wife wants in her birth, if you are putting your own ideals and dealing with your own fears, and you're saying to her, oh, I'm too scared for you to do this, but her desire and heart is calling her to stay home, and she really doesn't want to go in the hospital, and she compromises on that to help you feel safe, do you know what happens? The sex dries up. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. But it's true. Because you see, what you've done is you have said, I don't trust you, baby. I don't trust you to keep our child safe. So you're going to go into this environment that you don't feel safe in so that I can feel better that you're taking care of our child, because I don't feel safe and I can't trust that things are going to work out. And you know what? It's not even your fault, women. Like, it's not the mom's fault. It's not the wife's fault. It's not even the husband's fault. It's the problem with our culture and our society and our medical system that perpetuates the fear and the anxiety. And so the men are scared, the women are scared, birth is now traumatic and awful, and the sex is now dried up. But you know, there's some women who have had amazing empowered births, and as soon as that 6-week checkup is like, you're ready to go, it's like, yeah, because you were so sexy, baby, when you were holding space for me when I was in labor. Oh my God, I just want to rip your clothes off. Like that kind of energy, because like they actually stood for the power. But you know, another thing that happens is if the guys are not stepping up in fatherhood, if they're also kind of like, I don't know what to do, and they're scared, then women have to step up into that role of leader again after just having a baby. And again, the sex dries up because we don't actually want to have to lead our men. We want to inspire them into their higher level so that we're technically the relationship leader and we're inspiring them and we're telling them what we would like, and then they fulfill it. So again, the divine masculine and the divine feminine have really been wounded within our society and our culture. And it's horrible and it's devastating. And the more I read about this, the more devastated I get, because I'm like, oh my God, I can totally see it now. And again, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So that's pretty much it, is that you've got that moment. You've seen the other side. You know what it can be. Either it's not the right thing, or it's like you've seen the desire side of it and you're just going to go for it, and it's more amazing than you could have ever dreamed, and like things just work. And then it's like, oh my God, like then you get scared. There's a moment where you get scared and you kind of pull away because it's just too intense and it's too frightening, and it's like, oh my God, like I want to go back to the way things are, but you can't go back. In fact, like you end up, maybe you break up. Can you tell that like some of my teen dramas that I like, I love the Vampire Diaries. I love Damon and Elena's story. Even with the breakup, I love it because in the end, they came back together because they just couldn't stay away from each other. They tried. They really tried. And I mean, 50 Shades of Grey, like it's got its problems, but it's still got that same thing. It's like once you find that true love, you can't walk away. Annie talks about this all the time. Like you want to run away because it's so intense and it's so challenging. But like every fiber of your being is like also tied to that. And it's not codependent and it's not toxic. It's just like, this is the most extraordinary person I've ever met, and there is nowhere else to go. So again, this is your most extraordinary life, or this is your most extraordinary birth. This is your dream. And once you've experienced it, there's nowhere else to go. There is nowhere else to go. Anything else feels horrible and constricting, and you don't want to do it. Like the moms who have had home births, and then they are being told that they have to have a hospital birth for the next one, they go back into their fear very quickly because they're like, you know what? I had a home birth and there's just no way I could go into the hospital again. I don't want that again. And they don't know how to create that experience in the hospital, which again is why I also teach the moms that I help, if they have to do a hospital birth, they have an empowered plan for that too. And actually, I'm working on something right now and it's really, really cool. And I can't wait to unveil it. I did put it on my page, my business page. So if you want to check that out, it's just facebook.com/empoweringmomsbirth. And if you want, you can share that. It would really be a lot of help to me, especially if you can get it out to moms who are in their first trimester or just planning to become pregnant or in their second trimester. Because one of the things I teach my clients is to create their birth plan first before they even hire a care provider, before they do anything else, before they take any classes, because it helps them with their roadmap. Like it's like a ninja move, and nobody else seems to be doing it this way. And I came up to that idea just because after what happened to me with Hunter, I'm like, there's no way anybody is going to trick me again. Like I have a plan, and believe me, I had a plan, and it worked. It worked. In the end, I got exactly what I wanted. And then I've been testing that with so many people. I tested that theory, and it's just been like, the second I learned the coaching tools on top of that, there's just no stopping this now. The system works. It works so well. So yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you about the elevator kiss, about seizing the moments in your life, even when they're terrifying, even when you know that the second you do it, things are never, ever going to be the same again. That once that is said, once you say it, you can't unsay it. Once you do it, you can't undo it. Once you go for it, you can't go back to your safe little world where you were secure and maybe too small, cramped up in your egg. But once you hatch from that egg, you can't get back in the egg. Once you're birthed, you can't go back in the womb. You can't suddenly go, oh, I don't like this world, I want to go back into mommy. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You've already seen. And then when you do try to go back, it's not the same. It's like you can't go home again, but you can go to a new home in a new empowered state. But you can't ever go back to the way it was. It's not the way life works. You have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, you're just waiting for death, and it's not fun. Or you're settling, you're waiting with the wrong partner, and you're just waiting for one of you to die. Or it's like, I guess this is as good as it gets. No. If you're thinking, I guess this is as good as it gets, and you're complacent, you're not living. You're not living. And I was in the, I guess this is as good as it gets, and I can settle phase for so many years. And it sucks, and it drains you, and it makes you just drop. And then you're just waiting, and you're going through the motions instead of waking up every morning and being like, oh my God, what else can I do today? I can't wait. I can't wait for this day. This day has been amazing, and I can't wait for tomorrow. I hope I get to wake up tomorrow because I want to do more. I want to do bigger things. Maybe I want to have the same day again, but do it a little bit higher level, because you can't relive the same day either, because then it gets boring. I mean, you've seen Groundhog Day, right? Like they live the same days over and over, and it gets monotonous. It's not fun. And I mean, even if it's an awesome day, you don't want to relive it over and over and over again in a time loop. You would go crazy very fast. All right. I'm going to go watch Vampire Diaries now because I'm fired up and I want to play. The kids are gone for the weekend and I get to play. I'll talk to you soon though. Bye.